Brooke Wells needs to fire someone. The Sevan broadcast crew got off to a rough start at Syndicate. This is Semifinals extravaganza weekend in which there were 4 qualifying events, aka semifinal events, 2 of which mattered and 2 of which Brian Friend probably covered. But before that, the Community Cup workouts were released, smack dab on a Saturday in the middle of 4 semifinals events.
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
And as Andrew Hiller pointed out, apparently there were 2 Road to the Games released as well for Abigail Domit and Fee Sagafi, I believe. I didn't know about that. I barely knew about the Community Cup workouts because you released them in the middle of a weekend with 4 semifinals.
I know.
Nothing screams this is going to be another throwaway wasted fitness competition that's never done again and shipped off into the vast wasteland of the island of misfit toys, like releasing it on a semifinals weekend.
What are you doing?
You're doing it again. You did it again. This is it. It's happening right now. Whoever wins this is going to be like Andrew Hiller for winning the fittest online games person. See, I don't even know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody's going to know what this is either because you don't care. So why would I care? You don't care because you released it on a semifinals weekend. Now, I don't care, and the workouts aren't even good. Well, I don't like them. Maybe somebody else does. Can you guys hear the rain? It's raining. I keep getting requests to do these not in the bedroom. Requests granted. But now it's raining. Okay, winners and losers from Syndicate Crown, the only semifinals that mattered, and then the other one that had Tia. She matters too, I guess. Winners, the Sevan broadcast team. And what I could say is that I liked it. I thought the commentary was really good. I thought that it was entertaining, and it got what I needed. Some of the shots weren't right. They had some rough technical difficulties early on. Oh, you're definitely getting pounded. 100% pounding coming your way.
You're getting pounded right now, Grant. We're dropping a dollop of in your butt for
You should have had me say it. I can say anything. I could talk about steroids. Speaking of steroids, not exactly because it's legal, but you should get your hormones checked out at dudemeds.com. They sponsor us. We know them. They're good. Get your blood work checked out at dudemeds.com and get your hormones optimized. Make sure there's nothing wrong with you. Like me. Just look at me. There's nothing wrong with me. That's to be expected, but it got better as the weekend goes on. But the question that kept coming up and that really was raised in my head is, was this or was this not better than what Brian Friend will produce for you on his gimbal?
With a pencil.
And the answer is clearly yes. It's better than Wadapalooza. Andrew Hiller made a video earlier today in which he said the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. I don't think it's tit for tat. I know that Brian Friend got a lot of money for Wadapalooza, and this was free, but Wadapalooza did probably have a lot more requirements. I'm no technical wizard here, but I'm sure there's like wires and stuff that needs to go outside. He had a really big team doing it, but the bottom line is that when he was doing an event, he had the floor in front of him, just like the Sevan crew had the floor in front of them. And the problems that Brian Friend had at Wadapalooza weren't too dissimilar from some of the ones experienced early on from the Sevan crew. Cameras being switched to maybe other than staring at the trees for a few minutes a couple times, there weren't a ton of just flat out slips like when Brian Friend takes his gimbal and shoots it up at the sky. But I will say that I don't like the view where everything's zoomed out and you can see the whole field because you can't you can see everyone, but you can't see anyone, right? So I like it when they switch it from athlete to athlete. It is very difficult to communicate and to know how to show the right angles at the right time. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice. It's going to take headsets. You're going to need headsets next time.
This is screaming dragon!
Hopefully at NorCal. But honestly, all that considered, I watched the Brian Friend streams, and they're okay. They're doable.
What do you mean?
But this was much more than doable. It was really good, especially for the first time. I give it a solid B, and I think that it's only going to get better from here.
But we talking about practice, man.
Now, Brian said something on his live stream today that Sevan brought up when Sevan had a podcast tonight that was absolutely baffling to me. Brian apparently said that he was surprised that they had so many issues with the big experienced team that they had. And Sevan kind of laughed at that, and I can't help but laugh at it too. I think Savan's the only one with broadcasting or video experience.
I was admittedly surprised with the technical errors that were happening on the first day, just given the size and experience and intelligence and media savviness of the entire team that Sevan had there supporting him.
Brian Spinn does something in finance. Caleb's in the military. Tyler Watkins is like a substitute teacher somewhere or teaches math or something. Brad Asaraf is a priest and makes thumbnails. Taylor, Bryson, and John all coach. Souza owns a gym. You had Bill on the mic. You had Jenny there from Dense Updates. Yeah, I can't. I just don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody there who had experience. That's just crazy, dude. I'm very happy that Brian Friend brings us coverage, but the two aren't comparable. It's not even close. The product that Brian Friend brings you was not even close to this. Not even close. And it's only going to get better. Now, as for the good aspects here, John Young was a lot better than last time. He was still fun, but he seemed really controlled and honed in. And I think I saw that in the comments as well. Pedro, hey, he did a great job flying that drone. Bill is Bill. He's always good. I thought Sevan added to that crew, kind of glued it all together, and it was a really good A-team. Taylor Self, phenomenal at the interviews because he's got personality. You don't know what he's going to say except for the first question that he asked everyone, which was, what was your first workout? Which was a good icebreaker, so you didn't know he wasn't going to just come right out and ask you something crazy like they might expect him to. Other winners, the programming was great. I think JR made a great test of fitness. You know, and I'm not even going to get into all that it was, but compared to TFX, I think that it hit all the different stimuli that you can hit when you have 6 tests. And I'm confident that he found the right people. Very passionate about it. I was standing next to him at one point, and I wouldn't quite say he was happy, but I could definitely see a twinkle in his eyes when Austin Hatfield was doing a workout and started failing rope climbs. And I looked at him and I said something, and he was just fascinated by the fact that, hey, you've got somebody in contention to win the CrossFit Games potentially right now, and their weakness before our eyes is being exposed, right? That's what these workouts are supposed to do. They're supposed to pick and prod and pull and find out if you have any weaknesses. And everybody has weaknesses, but it's about minimizing those, right? And speaking of minimizing weaknesses, shoot, the bedroom people are going to freak out now. Well, hey, at least I did half of it outside of the bedroom, so 50-50.
Same, but different.
A lot of people have brought up that the broadcast had a little bit too much crassness, too much swearing and language, that it wasn't age appropriate. And on his first podcast back, he had a lot to say about the matter, mostly just along the lines of trying to control language is not the best use of your energy, that there are other things that are more important. I'm actually going to disagree a little bit here. I think if there's no need to swear and you can be as entertaining as normal, I don't think you're going to lose your normal audience. I don't think the people who tune into your podcast are going to be like, man, this is so stupid. There's not enough swearing. There's not enough pounding. The reason I bring that up is, speaking of pounding, if he sees this, I'm probably going to get...
You're getting pounded right now, Grant.
I also agree at the same time, it's more of a podcast style than it is a broadcast, and people sort of know what they're getting into. But I agree more with the Andrew Hiller route, that he had purposed himself not to swear in his YouTube channel at some point because some people turn them off. But I will say that their style, which does involve some crassness, if it was completely absent, probably would not get as much of the same audience as you typically would, because that audience was built off of that type of environment and speech. Another winner here was John Young. John Young for saving the day and putting the pressure on Ty Jenkins to do Syndicate Crown.
I would totally do online Syndicate NorCal, but Syndicate is the weekend before NorCal and it's halfway across the country, and that sucks.
And Ty, you do what you want. Don't let me influence you. I just wouldn't count yourself out. Okay. And if you ever want me to talk good about you, you're going to go to Syndicate and you're going to kill it.
As Ty was super focused on NorCal, which is going to end up being an absolutely stacked field in all likelihood, if all the people who haven't made it yet end up converging on Northern California.
No, we Bill. I know it's Bill, not the science guy.
Turns out that Syndicate Crown was Ty Jenkins' best opportunity to make the games. He won and he made the games. And maybe John Young, along with me and some others, had a little 1% influence on that. Although I ultimately think it came down to Ty, and Ty having conversations with his coach. In the end, I'd still like to think that everybody coming in and saying, hey man, you should go for Syndicate, had an effect. Speaking of Ty Jenkins, another winner is the next generation of CrossFitters. I, for one, couldn't be more thrilled to have young CrossFitters coming in and dominating, or at least doing very good early on, because it means all the old disgruntled's can go retire or go to the WFP or wherever it is that they go off to. There was a divide in CrossFit after the CrossFit Games. A lot of the older people have been very vocal, very boycotty, very divisive, and honestly, we just don't need that. We don't need that. I'm of the opinion that CrossFit is best when there is an HQ sitting over it that is operating well. In the past, we've been very critical. It hasn't always operated well, but there's been a huge opportunity for CrossFit HQ to improve. The other alternative, with there being no HQ or no games, just WFP and Wadapalooza and all these various different things, I don't think that portrait, the picture that would be painted from getting rid of HQ and essentially getting rid of the games 5 years from now would be a better CrossFit. Yes. The methodology wouldn't evaporate overnight, but I don't think that it would help CrossFit grow further, and I actually think that CrossFit would shrink. Therefore, I want the old malcontents out.
I'm going to get some water here too. This has went far longer than I had expected.
And it's a win that some of the young people coming up can take their place. You got Ty Jenkins, who's 19 and just won. Reese Littlewood came out of nowhere and almost won. She's 18. Miley Wade was in it, and she is 17 years old. She ended up taking 8th. Lydia Fish is 20, 21. Connor Volts has been getting better and better. I said that he was an absolute sleeper to maybe even make the games, which sounded ridiculous to everyone, and it probably is ridiculous, but he looked good, and he's 21 years old, 22 years old. The next generation are people that started CrossFit when they were like 13, as opposed to starting it in their 20s, like Matt and Tia did, and a lot of the people that have been really good in the past. These people are only going to be better. The last winner I've got here is Brooke Wells, because in a sense, she shut everybody up. Not through her words, definitely, as she declined any interviews after event wins, after winning the competition.
I'm going to be interested to see how the whole entire competition plays out with that.
She said no.
Yeah, because we're hearing that Brooke said no to be interviewed, and I wonder if she's not going to want to be interviewed this whole time. Wins the competition, says F y'all, and then walks away to the game.
But with her performance, she definitely did. It seemed like she had a chip on her shoulder and she dominated more than anyone in the field, male or female. She went in there and proved that she absolutely deserved to be in the games, even if apparently she doesn't know how to do a burpee. After an interview separate from the broadcast, several of them actually, in which she took absolutely no accountability whatsoever and essentially said that there are a bunch of haters out there and the whole world's against her, blah, 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 blah.
Just because I've gone through a lot of just like crap that I don't think I had to deal with, but I know that there's still good in the community. That's kind of what shifted my mindset, was like, even though there's are like negative people out there making rude comments that are kind of damaging to my reputation,
bunch of yes men talking in her ear and telling her she's the best her whole life. I don't know what it is, but there was zero accountability taken. I understand her frustration. It did blow up. If there wasn't the internet, there wasn't the Hillers, there wasn't this, there wasn't that, it might not have been on CrossFit's radar. CrossFit might have just let it go. You might not like the way it went down, but it doesn't change the fact that you were penalized for not doing proper burpees very clearly, and you very clearly did not do proper burpees. The appropriate thing to say would be, hey, I'm kind of pissed off because I really don't like the way this whole thing blew up, and I know I could have done that workout in a similar time, and I know that I would have made the games, and this really sucks, and now I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to destroy everyone and step on throats. Then drop the mic. Anything other than what she did. You're not going to lose any of your fans who are just, oh yeah, it's Brooke, oh, you're the best, you're the best. If you say that, they're going to like whatever you say anyway. But you could have won this whole group of people over who very clearly see your lack of accountability. There was nothing said to respect. It was like a little girl talking rather than a woman. Like a spoiled little girl whose daddy gave her a pony when she was 11.
Daddy, I want another pony.
I have no idea what her upbringing was, but that's what it comes across as. All that being said, she probably heard some of that criticism and did come back and finally say on the last day that she didn't do the burpees. It was on her.
I got a penalty online. That's on me.
I didn't do the burpees, and it's on me. But she got it out. On to a couple losers. Brooke Wells, also a loser, but I guess I just went through all the reasons why, so we'll move on. The attendance at Syndicate Crown as well as the overall experience. We all know Mayhem looked absolutely awesome, partly because of the field and the environment and it being at Mayhem, but compared to TFX, which I was also at, this seemed a lot smaller. There were way less vendors. I liked the venue, but it wasn't very full, and it's hard to imagine that they were able to make a lot of money with the amount of people that were there. And honestly, it was well run, but TFX gets the edge by just a little bit, which surprises me because I expected and even said on my preview that I thought that Syndicate Crown was going to be the second best semifinal in North America. And it turns out that TFX was to this point, depending on how NorCal ends up. Really enjoyed it. B+. I hope they keep doing it, but TFX was just a little bit better. Some of the losers on the women's side, Shelby Neal, I have no idea. Did she get injured? I don't know. But regardless, from the beginning, she was not in it. She did not look good. She took 16th. She was, I think, two-time games athlete the last 2 years, I believe, definitely last year, and she was nowhere close. Now, she'll probably be at NorCal unless she's injured, but she just doesn't look like she's at that caliber right now. So I don't know what's going on there, but definitely a loss. Sydney Wells clawed her way back a little bit, but really just wasn't in it at all. She took 6th. I picked her and Brooke to both make it, and she really didn't show up. She's made the games before. She got kicked out for the box steps last year. She'll have a chance at NorCal. I still think she's got a ton of talent, but this kind of lines up with the way she's performed the rest of the year. And at this point, maybe her fitness just isn't up to par for the game standard, which is now 30 total people, not 40. And Erica Folo, this is a tough one. She is super young, and I still think she could make the games, but she has some really obvious weaknesses. She was crushing, and she was in second and had event wins, and then she absolutely fell apart 2 events in a row, I think, in the 20s, and it was over from there. Now, I think she bounced back on the last one for a top 10 finish, which showed some grit, particularly after we know a little bit about her mindset from the Hiller video, in which she was just ready to quit after last year, after not making it at semifinals, blowing up at an event after she was in and then out with that event. kind of a similar blow-up situation here, but she did bounce back, and there was a video of Hillard's that just came out in which he does sort of a Zoom call or video call, whatever you call it, with her, and she seems super positive. So it's great to see the talent is there, and I actually do think she'll make the games at some point. There are some weaknesses to work on, so I don't really like putting her in the losers column here, but she still underperformed for what I was expecting, mainly in those couple events that she blew up on. Spencer Panchek, this is another tough one because the whole Panchek brothers and John Young thing the whole weekend, he said the Pancheks have never done anything great, anything worthwhile. I don't know exactly what he said, but they had some fun with it. And then after that, he won like 3 or 4 events in a row and took 4th and almost qualified, but he was never really close to the first 3 guys on the leaderboard. I did expect him to not be out of the running after essentially the first competition, but he was. Clear weakness there, and depending on the programming, I just don't know this year. I mean, you can't avoid Heavy Isabel. Maybe it's not going to be in the last chance qualifier, so maybe a shot there. I don't think I've heard that it will be, but other than that, he just has some glaring weaknesses and isn't good enough. And then Seth Stovall, I guess Hiller was right. I picked him to take 2nd or 3rd, I think 3rd. Hiller made a post saying Steph Stovall was the most overrated person in CrossFit, and he was never in it. He just didn't look good enough.
Seth Stovall is the most overhyped athlete at the Syndicate Crown, and it's not even close.
He's only 23, and he's been really close, but he wasn't really that close here. Anyway, that wraps all that up. What do we got coming up? We got NorCal coming up, and it's going to be super interesting because the field could be completely stacked. I'm going to have a video about that because if you look at the women's field and what it could be, if all the people who didn't make it, all the big names and previous games athletes and up-and-comers, if they all converge on NorCal along with the people who are already signed up, the field is absolutely insane. I made a little bit of a controversial post, or I should say just a post that some people disagreed with about the strength of field there, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but it's going to be super exciting. It's the last in-person event. The Sevan crew is broadcasting that one as well, so it should be entertaining. It'll be fun to see how they improve.
You're getting pounded right now, Grant.
And how their coverage is on this event. The whole thing's going to be fun. There's going to be podcasts, there's going to be coverage, and we're going to have a freaking crap ton of people there on the men's side and on the women's side, all vying for 2 spots for the men, 2 spots for the women. Aside from the last chance qualifier, which takes 1 person, this is it. And there's some big names. We'll get into that more later. You can look for that video tomorrow or the next day.